just looked like I was 8 months pregnant. I can just do it because I have that power and that fire. You just have to be adaptable in the environment and situation that you're given. Okay, I work in this very busy environment. I can do 10 minutes. It is possible. It's just reevaluating how you do that. It's just trying to get that balance in a busy lifestyle. I'm just more conscious about if I don't get something done, then I'm going to try and just get it done the next day.
This always bends my mind a little bit. Did you know that 61.9% of those of you who listen to the show regularly haven't subscribed to the show? So if I could ask you a big favor before we start, if you like the show and you like what we do here and you want to support us, the free, simple way that you can do that is simply by hitting the subscribe button below. As we don't run ads on the podcast to provide the best uninterrupted experience possible. And my commitment to you is that if you subscribe, that I'll do everything in my power, my team and I, to ensure that this show is better for you every single week. And we will continue to listen to your feedback. We will find the guests that you want me to speak to and continue to do what we do. Thank you. All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fit Vegan Podcast. Today, I have a very special guest. Many of our alumni members are going to be happy to hear this episode. We have Mr. James Anderson Smith back on the show. James, how are you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great. This is actually my first podcast. I'm a little bit blasé about it, but it's amazing to see you. And yeah, I'm really happy to be here. So thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, well, it's great to reconnect because you were one of the kind of the original groups when I started Fit Vegan over 4.5 years ago. You're in the era of like Stacy, Neha, Darcy, Chris, and that whole gang. And do you remember Tish?
Tish, yes. Before we started recording, yes, I remember Tish. She's amazing.
Okay. Yeah, she is. I actually just had her on the show to do a 4-year follow-up on her transformation, and she brought you up. She's like, I love James. I still talk to James from time to time.
Yes, we message each other on Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't realize. I'm going to have to listen now. I didn't know that she was on recently.
Oh, yeah. She said great things about you on that show.
She's amazing.
Yeah. So I'd love to kind of do a little recap of what happened during your transformation. And obviously want to do a follow-up as to where you're at now, kind of how you're living your life. I know there's been a big shift because of what I've seen you accomplish, in the past few years in terms of health and fitness. So going back to the start, I just remember our initial conversation. It was like around Christmas. You had your Christmas sweater on. You had the Christmas tree in the background. You like, I was going by Lucky at that point. You're like, Lucky, yeah. I just need to get rid of 2 things. And it was my man boobs and Gertrude, which is what you called your gut at the time.
Oh, God. Yeah. Well, actually, my family called my stomach Maggie from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
I mean, she does sometimes come out to play because, my weight is up and down. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
But you're right. I was, I had a lot of jiggly bits and I had man boobs and I really just didn't want that. I almost wore my Christmas jumper, actually.
For this video? Nice.
This is why I'm single.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, just for the people listening, obviously to hear that you have an accent, do you want to kind of share where you're from?
I think you're the one with the accent, but okay.
Okay.
I'm from England, originally born in South London. But most of my family are from London, but we've all moved out because it's so bloody expensive.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you doing the podcast with me because it's pretty late for you. It's like 6 p.m.
Oh, 6 o'clock in the evening. It's well past my bedtime. Well past.
Yeah.
No, fine. It's all good.
So let me ask you, like, again, I know it was over 4 years ago. I think I just have your account here. It was created November 21st, 2020. So
I believe that.
What was it that initially? Time has flown by.
I know what you're going to ask me now. I think it was when I look back now, so kind of it feels like a really long time ago, but it was only 4 years ago. But I think it was, and a lot of people, I'm sure, were doing the same that I was doing. A lot of emotional eating. I sort of lost my job because of the pandemic, and yeah, I was just sort of stuck in a rut, and I was just eating rubbish and junk because it's very easy to be a fat vegan, as I used to say to you. That's why I had man boobs. And it still is easy to be. I think people have this misconception of vegan. It means that you eat dust and lettuce. It's nothing like that, but you can be a really unhealthy vegan as well.
Yeah.
And so I just looked in the mirror and I just thought, I think I even said it out loud. What's happened, James? Look at yourself. I sort of had a realization of how big I've become, and actually, I felt, um, just very heavy, and I felt uncomfortable. Didn't have energy and power, and I just thought, I need to do something about this. And yeah, I don't remember how I came across your program, but I do.
Instagram, because that was the only way I was
Yeah,
like promoting at the time.
and it must have been. And I have been with some other instructors since you, but I think um, what I've learned since then is that I needed to have someone who understand vegan nutrition as well as the
Yeah.
fitness. And so, yeah, I remember I recorded a video for you, and you really did change my life, like really changed my life, and I'll never forget it. That's why I keep going every so often. I want to come back.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I
Yeah,
remember that video. I still have that video.
well, it was all
Yeah.
true. Like, it's not. I think Instagram is quite toxic in some ways when you're constantly looking and comparing yourself and you want to be this person. And I've done that, and I still sometimes have days like that. But um, we all want to live longer, and I do want to live longer, and I want to feel healthy, not just look necessarily like a god, but I
Mm.
just want to feel healthy. And I really I felt the best I'd ever felt in my life actually during that program. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Well, you did all the hard work. You did your own workouts and you ate the food. I was just telling you what to eat and what to do for exercise.
No, but
So
I'm quite
I'll take
special.
credit for the plan, but you did the work.
No, but I'm one of those people that needs to have someone like yourself, Sarah as well, who helped me with the nutrition, and you're because I'm quite special. Thank God I live with my sister because she's also vegan, so she does a lot of cooking because I'm not great
Yeah.
at cooking. But your recipes, um, even for someone like me, is a bit special when it comes to cooking. I found really easy to follow. And so that was also rewarding. I thought, oh, I can actually do this. And so that also helped, I think, as well.
Yeah, and I remember your job as well. Like when you, because obviously during COVID, it was slower, and maybe you lost your job, and then you went back. So you work on cruise ships, right? And so I remember there was times where you were at sea, not necessarily having access to, like, again, a full house and your normal environment.
Yeah, it was difficult. I think what worked is consistency, which I know is a word that you used from day one, and I know you'll always use that, and many instructors use that word, but it's really, really true. Um, and I think it's just, when you're in a different environment and working on a yacht or a cruise ship, some of these ships have great gym facilities and you're not doing 9 to 5. So your hours are very different. So it's just trying to reprogram your brain and how you're going to fit in 10 minutes or whatever it might be to continue doing that.
Yeah,
Um, Now I work now on river ships, and it's a bit harder on there because they don't have a gym on board.
what
But
are
there's
those?
still
What are river ships?
That's a good question. Um,
I was like, I know you know, but I have no idea what it is.
so they're just the ships all around the world that just sail on rivers. So I travel along the River Rhine,
Okay.
um, and it's just taking guests from like Amsterdam to Switzerland, and it's just a beautiful way to see places, but you're on the river.
Okay.
So the ship compared to a cruise ship is smaller in terms of its facilities. But when I was training for the marathon, for example, that didn't stop me because I just thought, well, we're in port every day. I'm still going to get my 10K in,
Yeah.
so just trying to manage when and how you're going to do that.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, because when I have you on Instagram, so I kind of been, seeing what you've been posting. And I remember in April of 2024, I was in Seattle for speaking at the Planted Expo. and I was with Sarah because we had a booth there. So I had the whole like Fit Vegan team with me, and I was like, "Oh shit, James about to do his marathon," and that's when we filmed you that video to say that
Which,
we were proud of you.
that video was amazing. It was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was very cool to see that because when we first met, you weren't necessarily heading down the path that you are on now. Like I didn't think that you would have went down the path of racing and doing a marathon. And so what like where did that stem from? That desire to want to go down this path of like, hey, let me do a half, let me do a full.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you said to me like 4.5 years ago with my Marge and massive man boobs, you're going to be doing a marathon, James, in 4.5 years' time, I would have laughed in your face. I think I just wanted to challenge myself as well because you gave me that fire to think I can lose because I lost a lot of weight that
Yeah.
I didn't need. Some people just thought, wow, did you really do that? And, sometimes photos don't do it justice, but I just felt great. And so you gave me that fire, and I thought, if I can do that in a 9-month program, then I can do a marathon. So, and also, you probably saw my account, I did it for a charity, but
Yeah.
so it was also that as well. And now that I've done a marathon, I'm not an expert, I'm not an athlete. Um, I
Well, that's
want to do it.
debatable. You are because you've done it, right? So there's I'll put it this way: there's athlete and there's professional athlete. You are an athlete. Pro is when you get paid, right? But you
That
are an
maybe
athlete.
a low athlete, like civilian type.
Civilian athlete, all right.
um, but I will do another one again in the future. I would definitely train more because I think I only did about 3 months. And part of the
Okay,
3 months, you do a half marathon because there's loads of training programs out there. And I did actually use an instructor to help me, and he was really helpful. He
good.
was an instructor that helps runners. So he helps people that do marathons and gives you the right tools that you need for a marathon. And one of that was to do a half marathon. And I felt like a bit the Billy Elliot in the running world because I've never done a half marathon before. And I did my training and I turned up, and the host on the microphone said, I hope you all know that this is a hilly half marathon. I was like, sorry, what? So I nearly died during that half marathon. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm really glad I did it. So, and I think it's that fire that you gave me in the program that I did with you all those years ago, which sounds cheesy, but really, um, it really did change my life. So it gives me that fire to do other things in the future because I know I can.
yeah. I've been saying this for years, but there's a thing. There's a component of being able to master your own body, and for a lot of people, that's kind of like the first level of the game. It's I don't think that I can do all of these things because I can't even get a handle on my own body. But once you get a handle on your own body, then it kind of
Yeah,
opens more door, and you're like, that seemed like such a big mountain to climb, and now I've climbed it. What else can I climb?
yeah. And it's true as well what you said about being patient because I know some individuals like myself, I'm like, I want results, and it does take time and you have to just keep going. And I do remember, I think maybe for the first couple of months when I did the program with you, I just was like, why am I not, but it eventually, I kept at it, and the weight does start to come off. And I think as well, when you're taking photos and stuff each month, you don't sort of notice yourself with the changes. That's why you use the photos. It's a really good idea
Yeah,
because mentally, you don't feel like you're changing or that you're improving until you look how you was 6 months ago. And so those
yeah.
photos are really helpful because if you didn't do those photos, you'd probably be looking at yourself thinking, I don't look any better, but actually you are, and so yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever hear the paper towel analogy? Did I ever share that with you on one of the group calls, the calls? I think it
My
came
brain is
later.
small. Maybe you did.
Yeah, I think it might potentially have came like maybe a year later into the program. But if you grab a roll of paper towel from the side where you see like all the layers and you
Oh,
remove
you
one,
did. Yes.
yeah,
And
so you
then
remove one
you
sheet.
keep removing it, and it doesn't like look any different. Yes, I have. I think you
Yeah,
did use that.
right?
Very
And then
true.
at one point it just hits you more than any other day. You're like, oh shit, there's a difference. But if you remove sheet by sheet, it just looks the same all the time. And because when you take your shower, you go to the bathroom, you see yourself every day, it's very hard to notice those small differences
Yeah,
until they are greater. And then it just hits you one day and you're like, oh shit, I look great. I notice a
yeah,
difference now.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Um,
I just remember as well, I could feel it like in my lungs. I could just feel, and I didn't have those jiggly bits, anymore because I had a
that's a
lot
good
of
feeling.
other. I mean, I'm starting to get jiggly bits again, it's up and down, but I know now, like it's in my head, like a splinter, that I'm like, even if I start to get those jiggly bits, that I'm like, well, you know how to get rid of it. You have
Yeah.
that power, and it's just power.
Yeah, and I think that's the part that people mistaken after they're done a fat loss program. And what I'm about to say applies to myself as well. It's just when people start off, they maybe have this standard that they are 30, 40 pounds overweight. So like 15 to 20 kgs overweight. And
Hmm.
that is like their standard, their upper limit of when I get to that, it's like, ah shit, I should probably do something because I'm getting pretty big
Yeah,
and uncomfortable. But if we're able to get you in shape and kind of trying to make that the new standard, then when you deviate by like, 5 to 10 pounds, like a 5 kg difference or 3 kg difference, and you start to feel more fluffy and those jiggly bits like you shared, then it's like, oh, I should probably tighten things up. And so the standard went from, hey, let's put on, 3 to 5 kgs and let's catch ourselves versus putting on 20 kg and then realizing that potentially we should do something. So
yeah,
we don't allow ourselves to go as far back as we did before because we have just a higher standard for ourselves.
yeah, yeah. Because I don't want to look like a hippo, and that was really on the verge of hippo. Yeah, so it
Hippo
was.
status.
Yeah, because I'm tall and I'm like a skinny fat, so I just looked like I was 8 months pregnant when I first started the program. It was not a good look, so I know that that was the worst that I'd looked. And it's not vanity or looks. It's just like I just felt really
Yeah.
unhealthy. And that's why I obviously came to you and I just booked the program, because I thought I need to just sort my life out.
Yeah.
So again, thank you.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome. But again, you did all the work. And, that's the thing that people also miss when it comes to transformation. Same thing for your marathon running coach. They can give you the plan, but if you don't do the plan, nothing
Yeah, I know.
changes, right? So the plan is
And
just an efficient path towards what you want, but until it's executed, you just stay in the same place.
yeah, yeah. And I've got a plan in 2026, which you'll probably see soon on my account, but I'm mad. But I'm going to do the Pilgrim Walk, which I wanted to do many years ago.
Is that in
It's
Spain or something?
the Santiago de Compostela pilgrimage walk. So in 2026, I'm going to walk 500 miles because I'm mad, which will
That sounds
take me about
amazing.
6 weeks. But again, I need to start getting into more training again and to get myself. But I'm not worried about it because I know that I have that. I can just do it because I have that power and that fire to get
Yeah.
myself ready for it.
And I'd love to talk about the shift of your mindset of like from when you started to now, but I just want to add one element to walking 500 miles. When it comes to bigger events like that, because I biked from Vancouver to San Francisco and I wasn't trained
Oh,
to
do you?
to
Oh,
bike,
actually, I've seen all the videos
right?
and things, photos on Instagram. Yeah,
Yeah, I was when I was
that's pretty
raising
cool.
money for cancer patients. Like when it's something that big, you can't fully train for it. You just train to be able to do like a few days or maybe a week, and then that first you're in shape for the first week, and then that first week is your training for the second week, and then
Yeah,
as you progress, you get fitter and fitter and
I
fitter throughout doing the
think
challenge.
what I meant by training is like I'm going to have all the boots and stuff, and at least 6 months beforehand, do hikes and walks and
Yeah,
make
yeah,
sure that the boots are my
yeah,
happy
yeah.
place for my feet. So that's, I guess, what I meant by training, and just start making sure that I'm doing more running and just kind of keeping on top of my fitness a little bit more than what I have been recently, because it's
Yeah.
been a while since I've done a marathon. But yeah,
Yeah. Well, yeah, you got to make sure you get a brand new pair of boots on day one of your hike.
no,
Yep.
I've done a lot of research for it because I planned to do this many years ago, but it fell through due to personal reasons. So I've done a lot of reading, and you know, the footwear is really crucial, and you have to make sure
Yeah.
that you've been
Break
wearing
those
this.
in.
Sorry.
That you break the boots in. Yeah, yeah. You don't want them to be
Yeah.
brand new.
I'm just holding the phone with one hand. It's really bad. I'm just drinking coffee. I apologize.
That's all right. So actually, I'd love to talk about the mindset because your mindset coming in is very different than the mindset you have now, right? Again, even several years out of the program now. So how have you seen your mindset progress over the past uh 4 years? Because November 21st will be 4 years. So in a month from now, basically,
Really?
by the time this comes out, it'll be 4 years.
Wow. Um, I don't. I think it's just I've just matured. I've got stronger. Um, I learned a lot through your program in terms of nutrition and just the food that I was eating. Because, like I said, it's easy to be a fat vegan. Because, like, even this week, I've had a couple of pizzas, and I remember you saying, yes, you can have fat days. It's fine, but sometimes if you have too many fat days, it's not good. But my mindset is, because and also the photo is a reminder that this was before, this was after. So I know that I can do it if I can lose. I don't know how much I lost. I think it was more than 2 stone in weight. I don't know what that is in what you
It's like
use.
20, you just, yes, I think a stone is like 14 pounds. So roughly like
14
28,
pounds,
30 pounds. Yeah.
something like that. I think it was just over 2 stone. No,
Yeah, so it's about 30 pounds roughly that you
yeah.
lost. Yeah.
Um, so I just know that I think, when I looked on Instagram, Facebook, magazines, whatever, and you see all these people that look like gods, and you just think, I could never be that person. Could I become that person? I don't think I've got that willpower inside me, even if I do go with a trainer or a nutritionist. And when I look back now, I don't think I realized as much as I do now that actually I was that person. I can be that person if I want to be. Again, it's not
Yeah.
about vanity, it's just about feeling good. And I do want to live longer. So I
Yeah.
do want to take care of my body. And I sometimes wish they taught us a little bit more about taking care of yourself at school.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's really easy to eat all this processed crap, and I've done it. I've done it this week with processed takeaway pizza. um, and so, especially with Sarah and learning about nutrition and just having an understanding and an awareness of this has definitely just matured me a little bit more so. And so my mindset now is, I do have days still when I know I'm not being good to myself, and sometimes I'm like, I don't care, I'm just going to be fat. But
Is there
I,
your days like, I'm just going to be fat forever, screw it? And then the next day you're like, I feel like shit, I don't want to. Then you get back on track.
I think I don't care or worry so much because I know that I know how to be good to myself. So as long as I'm not tilting the balance too much with that side of just eating rubbish all the time, and
Hmm.
I'm being good to myself. And luckily, I live with my sister who reminds me, come on, So I have vegetables, and she makes really amazing homemade soup, which is the best. Um, and the environment that I work on, I have access to really eating quite healthily, which I do when I'm on board. I eat fairly healthy because I'm on the go, so I need, power.
Yeah.
And I don't get power from quick fix crap or sugar, because they do have some very nice, delicious vegan cake, I have to say, on board. And sometimes I just want to eat three. So I just try not to bother. But
Yeah.
my mindset has evolved. I think it's just evolved and it's become stronger, and I've just matured. I just grew up a little bit in terms of my mindset, and that's all thanks to the program.
Yeah,
So
it
yeah,
feels like you have more peace in terms of
definitely.
understanding that when you do
Yeah,
have order a vegan, takeout pizza, that it's like it's not the end of the world. You didn't
yeah,
sabotage the whole thing. You're not gonna put on 50 kgs. It's just like, oh, okay, I made this decision in this moment. I own it. Whatever, tomorrow or whenever the next meal, just get back at
yeah.
it. And yeah, there's a
And I
sense
remember
of
you saying that.
control.
You used to say that. Like, sorry to interrupt, but I remember you saying that sometimes during the process, during the program, because you would give us these amazing meal plans, but there would be days when I wanted to eat fat, and you'd be like, "It's fine. You can do both." So yeah,
Yeah, and it's the balance, right? Like you have to be able to live life. Like sometimes you're going to be people have different work situations and environments, right? Like you being on a boat without access to a gym, right? That requires a completely different system and game plan. I work
yeah,
from home. I can go prep food. I can go to the gym whenever I want. And so some people are working at an office, 40 to 60 hours a week. And so everyone has to have their own sustainable game plan. And it's not the same for everyone. And it's not fair
yeah,
to be like, James, you should do it the exact same way that I'm doing it when my kitchen's right there and I can go to a gym within five
yeah.
minutes.
I agree with you. You just have to be adaptable in the environment and situation that you're given. You give incredible tools, and it's whether you choose to use those tools. And it is willpower. It's like the simple thing when you move a bin to a different location, your brain is still going to go to the same old place where the bin used to be, but you've moved it. So you just need to shift your brain and your mind to say to yourself, okay, I work in this very busy environment. I can do 10 minutes. It is possible. It's just reevaluating how you do that. You can make it happen. I think a lot of us do make excuses. I've been like that. And don't get me wrong, there's still been times when I'm just knackered. So I would choose sleep when I'm working on the ship rather than, you know, do a workout because I would rather get more sleep than do the workout. But it's just trying to get that balance in a busy lifestyle, which you also explained, and I remember quite vividly during the program.
Yeah, I think a big part is just not beating yourself up when things don't go according to. I think people focus too much on what's optimal, not what's realistic. And when people don't do the thing that is considered optimal, that's when they beat themselves up. Like you can't
Yeah,
block off 45 minutes to do a workout. People beat themselves up. But it's like, hey, I
yeah,
can squeeze in 10 minutes right now. Great, let's get that 10 minutes in, right? Or
yeah,
choosing sleep, which the next day is going to help to reduce your cravings, it's going to leave you in a much better mood. That's going to help as well. Um, how have you seen that shift for yourself? Because I remember how you were when you were in the program in terms of beating yourself up. How have you become with that over the years?
definitely more relaxed now. I think as long as I do something, because it's better to do something than nothing, like you just said. Um, because I know that was in the program as well. It's funny actually, I'm starting to remember, but before I would be, oh, how can I just, 10 minutes isn't worth it. And then because your brain is overthinking, you often end up doing nothing because you're thinking, well, it's not worth it. But actually, it is worth it. And it does make a difference.
Yeah.
So definitely more in that mindset for sure. Yeah. And it
Um,
was, sorry to interrupt, it was even like just now when I did this very brief running program, there would be days because I did the training because the marathon was April this year. So I did the training um, must have been like December, January, February, the winter months. And at that time, I was living in a different place in England, like north of London in the country. And my God, it was cold, it was muddy, constant rain. And so there were days when I thought, no, I am not going to run. I can't be bothered to get soaking wet and freeze my you know what off.
yeah.
And like, it's okay. It's okay that I'm not going to do a run today. But then I would compensate, which I remember you say you didn't need to do, but it was kind of like my mind was like, well, I've missed this 10K run. I'm going to just do 12K tomorrow. If it's raining, I'm still going to do it. So I'm a bit like that now. I'm not, I think I'm just more conscious about if I don't get something done, then I'm going to try and just get it done the next day or, and not
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, and being flexible. Like I said, I'm flying out tonight, and so tomorrow I'm not going to work out because it's an overnight flight, and I know I'm going to be dead. And so there's
You're gonna
nothing
be a
wrong with
zombie.
miss.
You fly to.
Yeah, exactly. So there's no point in me trying to do a workout tomorrow. I just want to go to sleep, spend time with my family, and I can move the workout to Friday. It's not the end of the world. And
Are you flying internationally?
yeah, yeah, just from LA to Canada, but it's still like a
You want
10 p.m. to
to
like a 7 a.m.
get bored.
Sorry.
You'll want to get a few cheeky drinks on the flight.
I don't drink. It
Oh,
hurts my head. I can't do it.
okay. It's no, don't drink. It's bad for you. You're right. You shouldn't. Right.
And Ivy's allergic to it. And to me, I
Oh,
think I drank four times
wow.
in my life, and every time I have like one small drink, my head was hurting, and I was like, "Ah, it's just not worth it. It doesn't
No,
taste good anyways."
probably the best. It's probably the best. I agree. Yep. Just
Yeah,
ignore it.
yeah. Um, so I wanted to ask you, what are some of the, because obviously I've taught a lot of things in the program while you were in the program, and you've already shared a few of them that you kind of remembered and you're still implementing. Well, like what is the biggest thing that you're definitely still using or implementing, whether it's a tactic, a strategy, a mindset shift? Like, what is the biggest thing that has stuck with you being out of the program?
Mm, I think, like as I said before, it's the biggest thing for me is just knowing. It's just knowing. You've given me this process, this thought process of knowing I can, and to not worry about time. So I know I can do
Yeah,
it. That's it. And beforehand, I was doubtful or impatient. So for me, it's definitely just, I would say most powerful tool that you've given me is just knowing I can do it. Like, that's it.
and that's
And
beautiful.
definitely a little bit more on nutrition. Um, because I can't remember now how long I've actually been a vegan now, but I'm lucky that I have siblings who all happen to be vegan. We all used to be meat eaters, but it's my sister Caroline who's been the longest in terms of being an actual vegan. I think she's been vegan for, I don't know, 16 years or something like that.
Wow.
So it's been really, really helpful learning the nutrition side from Sarah and just seeing the recipes. Because I think, again, at school, like, I don't really like the word vegan and, like we have to have all these labels for everything, but just understanding a bit more about food. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've definitely got that tool as well.
Yeah. Um, so the reason I wanted to start, I've been doing more and more follow up episodes with people is because I want people to understand what is life like after the program. And to me, having seen your trajectory and the whole purpose of the program is your life and heading is one specific direction, right? Where you're growing a Gertrude or a Margie, right, or a Marge. And my
Yeah,
goal is that can I help you speed up your journey towards getting to where you want to and give you the confidence and foundation for you to have a healthy and fit body and ultimately just change it by like 1 degree. And then with that 1 degree, you end up in a completely different space. And so when I saw that you were doing a marathon, I was like, shit, we need to have James on the podcast because that is
ah,
exactly what I'm talking about. That slight
yeah,
shift ended up to you doing a
oh,
marathon versus heading down the path you're on before.
yeah. No, it's so true. It's a really great way to describe exactly how I'm feeling because I'm not an instructor. I'm not, going to the gym every single day. I'm not. But, I've certainly, since leaving the program, been exercising far more than I ever thought I would and started to do things that I never thought I could do. Like I've already got another half marathon coming up in February. So, and I'm actually looking really forward to it. One of my mates, Richard, he's doing it with me, so I need to beat him. But, I never, well, he's older than me, so I can't allow that to happen. No, I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
joking. He's a good buddy of mine, but I never, I again, when you look at all these things on social media and you think, can I never would imagine that I could be a runner because you
Hmm.
just think that's someone that has to be elite. And so it's definitely, yeah, I've definitely tilted since doing it because it's made me think I can do other things. Like this is going to sound crazy, but I am slightly crazy, and I'm not sure. I've been maybe one day, but through my work, I get to meet some really amazing people, um, and it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago when I was on board, and this one couple, um, they heard that I did this marathon, and the husband said that he did what they called
Iron Man.
Iron Man, yes, and he's done
Yeah.
4, and he's like 60, and he's amazing. Like his fitness is incredible, and so I was having this extraordinary conversation with him about my experiences of doing the marathon, the half marathon, what I've done before in the past. And then he shared his story with me about, he said to me, "You can do an Ironman." And like my mind is like thinking, it's not impossible.
Yeah.
Whereas before your program, I would have gone, forget it. Nah.
Yeah.
And with Iron Man, I understand because he really gave me some great advice, and I now follow his work on Instagram about it's not a walk in the park. I understand that,
Nope.
and you've done them as well. How many have you done?
I've never done a full Ironman. I've done 4 half Ironmans, and that was enough for me.
I mean, you've done 4 half. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's a different, like I was training maybe 12 to 15 hours a week. I would have to gone up to 20 hours a week if I wanted to do a full. And just
crazy.
at the time being a caregiver, I just couldn't fathom like spending
No,
that much
I
time
mean,
exercising.
uh, he was telling me about, yeah, it's you have to dedicate a big part of your life and invest as well. You have to invest on a very good bike. It's
Yeah.
not
They're
just a walk
so
in the
nice
park.
though.
Well, also because I asked him, I said, "What about your, because you cycle 100 miles and then you've got to do a marathon? Like, I would be walking like a penguin if my
Oh yeah,
female
you do for a
bike."
bit.
So, but it's just definitely going back to what you said about the whole mind shift tilting. Yeah, definitely, I can have conversations now with incredible individuals that I get to meet and think, I think I could do that. Maybe
Isn't
one
that the
day.
best feeling?
Yeah, it's a really good feeling. And I'm not scared by it either. I think, well, it's a big challenge, but so,
Yeah.
no, it definitely gives you power. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
And let me give you some insights. The more you kind of dive into this world of I can do that, you you start to do these things. Like you did the marathon,
Mm,
then you walk the 500 miles, and you do the Ironman. And eventually you've done enough of the challenges to be like, oh shit, I can really do whatever I want. And then the
mm,
game becomes, okay, if I know that I can accomplish whatever I want, then it becomes about being very intentional and precise about what direction you want to head on, because then you
mm,
realize that there's a 360-degree around you of options and path that you can go down on, and some of them may be a waste of time. Like yes, you
yeah,
could do it, but is it the best use of your time for the level of happiness and the style of life that you
yeah.
want to live? And so
And,
that's a fun place to be once you've done a bunch of those events. It's like, well, I can go and start a business. I can go and start my own company for a cruise ship. I can move to a different country. It's like, what do I want? And then you know that whatever you set your mind on, done deal. If you detach
yeah.
yourself from the timeline, like your transformation, done deal, you're going to get there.
And I think for me that I know that I'm very lucky, and I know that we're very lucky that we can even do all these things. So I'm also very grateful. I'm always grateful that I have these opportunities that I can do these things. And so, yeah, I feel excited. I just have excitement, and I don't have this big set 5-year plan of what I'm going to do. I have some ideas, but I'm just going to go with it and not overthink things, and just be grateful that I can even do these new things that I never thought I could do four
Yeah.
and a half years ago.
Yeah. And it said, we are lucky. And as you were sharing that, I was like, I think it just comes down to perspective, because there's a guy named Nick. I can't remember his last name, but he was born with no arms and no legs, right? He just has like one little tiny foot. And
Okay.
he does public speaking, and he has a bigger business than me. He has more impact than me. He serves more
Yeah.
people than I do. He has done more incredible things than I've ever done. And I'm 6'4" athletic guy. And so it's like it's just about how you choose to approach life, right?
Yeah.
And so if you consider someone with absolutely no limbs accomplishing these beautiful things, it's like we just haven't taken the risk or set the intention to go accomplish these things. And so I think we're all
Right.
blessed in our own way with our own gifts. And it's just
Yeah.
about knowing that we can do it and then just going
Yeah.
for it.
That's why I like when I was doing the running and I thought I was going to die. I just thought, well, look, I can do this.
Yeah.
I'm, I'm, I'm able to do this. So actually, during my pain and suffering of this marathon that I'm choosing to do, I'm bloody lucky that I can even do that. So that is also on my mind as well, just gratitude. So yeah, I really
Yeah.
agree with what you're saying.
As you said, but you were dying? You felt like you were dying as you're doing the race. It makes me think of The Hangover when they pop the trunk. There's the Asian guy in the movie, and he's like, "But did you die?" Right? Because they were on like a crazy adventure. That's just
Crazy.
what it made me think of.
I
Yeah.
need to watch that film. It's been a while. It
Yeah.
was though, because there was part of the marathon which I was warned about when you get to Tower Bridge in London. My sisters were there, so they were. That was amazing because knowing my sisters would be there and cheering me on was awesome. But then when you run over the bridge, that's the half marathon mark, and on the other side of the road, because you can see markers, so you can see 22 miles. So it means you
Yeah.
have to run in the opposite direction for like, I don't know, 6 or 7 miles to be able to be on the other side of the road. And when I saw that, I thought, why? Why? Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And then the last 4 miles was the hardest, but I do remember thinking, well, look, I'm here, I'm doing it. So just
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah. Is it what's the point of quitting at that point? You ran all that for nothing. So might as well freaking run the last 4 miles in pain.
I want that medal.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so I love to ask you for some piece of advice because just for people that are on their own journey. So think of young James 2020, November 2020. So people that
Yeah.
are in a place where they were before you started. So I'll ask for a piece of advice for three phases. Before you started the program, piece of advice for people that are in the program, and piece of advice for people after the program.
Um, okay, so before the program, like I said, I was eating emotionally, so I was very down in the dumps, and so I was gaining a lot of weight. I wasn't exercising. I wasn't doing anything. I was working in a job that also changed my life because it's something that I never thought I'd end up doing it, but it was a consequence of the pandemic, and I really learned a lot through that job. But yeah, I was, I guess, a little bit depressed maybe as well. And so just months went on, and it was just looking in the mirror and thinking, I just had that realization I've got to do something. So I think I just needed to, if I could go back to that younger version of myself now and look down and point the finger and say, James, stop eating, just relax, breathe, and do something about it. I should have done something about it sooner. I mean, eventually I did because that's when I signed up to your program. But at that point, I was almost two people. Um,
you
I,
you were a very small child. You weren't too.
I'm happy to show you the photo, just to remind you.
They're going to
Uh,
be on the thumbnail of this video on YouTube. We'll have your before and after on the thumbnail. We'll see
great, didn't know.
your nice abs after.
Great. Um, so I would say to that person, to the younger self, just breathe. You're gonna be fine. And there are tools out there that can help you. You just need to find the right tools and speak to someone, get some advice. And don't just, because I was kind of in a cycle. I was just moping, doing this job, coming home and just eating a lot more food than I'd ever consumed. So, and eating a lot of carbs as well, loads of carbs, cakes, and just rubbish basically.
Yeah, the wrong carbs.
There was, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So I would just say, just breathe and just get out of this routine you've got yourself into, because you've chosen to get yourself into that. You can get out of it. And I was also very reflective during that time anyway, of the job that I used to have and the lifestyle that I had, and then the lifestyle that I was now in. Um, so I'd say to my younger self, just slap yourself on the face, snap out of it, and get some advice. And then during the process, I would say, even though you did tell me several times, I probably would slap him again and go, "Oi, just be patient and trust yourself." Because you said trust the process, but trust yourself. You're doing it now. You're walking the talk. So I think it's good to talk about it first, but then take action, because it's really easy for us to, because I've done it many times where I will say something or talk about it, but I never walk the talk. Where is the action? So
Mm-hmm.
I would remind myself during the process, look, you're acting, you are going through the process, you're doing. You've stopped talking, you're now walking your way through. So I think I would say to him, remind yourself, look what you're doing now. You might still be a Teletubby, but you still got time. Give yourself a pat on the back because you're in the process of doing. And then the advice I'd give to someone or myself after the process, um, I don't know the advice I'd give myself afterwards, is probably what you gave me and Sarah and the team was gold, and to try and implement that piece of gold that you've been given in your life. And like I said, I'm not an athlete, or I'm not specialized as a fitness instructor like yourself, that I can dip into that gold pot now and use it towards things that I need help with, because it's that knowing and power. So just to appreciate that pot of gold that I've been given more so, I think, if that doesn't sound too deep.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was beautiful. And I appreciate sharing those lessons, those pieces of advice, because I think that's the beauty with with recording a podcast is, there's thousands of people listening, and undoubtedly we are human. Yeah, there's a lot of the podcast is growing pretty a lot, uh,
Yeah.
but there thousands of people listening, and undoubtedly we are human. So we all go through very similar things, very similar emotions, very similar struggles, and so I know there's a ton of people listening to it that will be able to relate to your story and how you felt, what you had to overcome, and how you got to the place that you're at today. And a lot of times when I record podcasts with members, because they're not necessarily in the public's eye in the way that I am, they don't think that there's anything special to their story. But I've been doing this long enough that the people that think that there's nothing special to their story, I get a lot of messages from those episodes because they're like, I felt the same way. I was going through the same thing. That was very helpful to have this perspective or this lesson out of it, because I never saw my situation from that perspective. And so
Mm.
it helps people to understand that they're not alone. And a lot of the times it helps them to reframe their situation to be like, oh, there is actually a way out. If I just look at it this way, like James said, well, that is really helpful for me. And so, yeah, there's a lot of power in just sharing our own story, even though we don't think that, other people might be going through the same thing.
I really agree with you, and I find it fascinating actually meeting people, because everyone can write a story. Everyone has a story. A lot
Hmm.
of people have layers. I am going to use the onion. Um, and it's true. And so some of those layers can impact you on how you treat yourself, and how you will then implement this program into your life. And so sometimes, talking about that may also help and contribute towards how you're feeling and how you can then act upon training, which you also help with. There were things that we could share with you and Sarah, because, you're right, we're not perfect. And there are things that we go through during that journey of, you know, kind
Yeah.
of reboot yourself. And so you need to kind of let it off your chest. So I do agree with you, yeah, that I'm sure people can relate. I can relate to a lot of people as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, James, man, I just want to say I'm really proud of you. It's honestly, it's been in April when I saw your post that you just, I knew you're going to do your marathon and you were doing the race while I was with Sarah out there. I was telling Sarah, I was like, this is so freaking cool. Like, this is why we do what we do. It's like, yeah, there's like the initial transformation, but ultimately it's just building that foundation and that level of confidence that people can now take on to other areas of their life. They can choose to, carry it into fitness, into a marathon, but a lot of time it'll translate into relationship, into business, into their career, into whatever it may be. It can just positively leak into other areas. So it's been really cool to, man, just see your journey along the years and just a change of path that you've been on. Like when I saw you do that race, I wasn't proud because you did a marathon, but because you continued this lifestyle like almost 4 years after, because that is not the path that original James was on when I spoke to him in that Christmas sweater on that first call.
I still have many Christmas jumpers, more. I'm so glad I didn't wear it today.
Yeah, it would have been funny. It's all right. I still remember our first conversation, but yeah, man, I just want to say I really appreciate you. I appreciate you taking the time to record with me today and share openly and vulnerably. And I know that's going to inspire a lot of people. And Sarah wanted me to pass off the message that she's really proud of you as well.
Oh,
And that if ever you can make it to Canada or Los Angeles, to message us because we'd love to meet you in person.
I'd love to do that one day, but can I also say I'm proud of you and also Sarah, because I don't think you guys realize the impact that you have on people's lives, because you give off a lot of kind words, wisdom, advice, but you really have changed a lot of people's lives through your program. And I don't think you realize that. I don't think you give yourself enough credit. So I'm proud of you and Sarah for what you did for me, and how you have tilted. I really like how you explained that, how I've never looked at it like that, but it's really how you've tilted my life in the way that I never thought or dreamed that I could do a marathon. And it's definitely having that mindset through it was a 9-month program that I went on, I think, initially with
Mhm.
you. So yeah, you should be proud of yourself as well. So it goes both ways. So thank you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate the kind words. And this year I've done more trips to do workshops and to meet members in person, to record episodes with them in person for the podcast, to do workout videos together. And that is what making me realize the impact, because when I get to see a member in the context of their family and their community and how much it's changed, and hearing from their partners and their kids how their parent has changed or how their partner has changed, I feel it more than just being online all the time. And that's why next year we're going to do more in-person stuff, because
Great.
like it makes me realize the kind of cool work that we're doing even more than what my brain can comprehend being online. Because it's like, well, 800 people, we like almost at 850 people now we've helped. If I were to put 850 people in the room, that's a ton of people. But
Yeah,
the brain can't comprehend that just with numbers, right?
that you should be proud of that. Like because I think on your website it says 800, but it's 850. It will continue to go up. So you've made an impact on many people's lives, and I don't think you realise that. So it's
I try
tremendous.
to. I try to. Like I said, we talked
Good.
about detaching yourself from the timeline and consistency compounds. A lot of time my head is just down and I'm just focusing on serving, serving, serving. And these podcasts we post twice a week for years now. It's going to be 4 years mid-November of
Oh wow.
just posting. And so it's like, yeah, sometimes I take those breaks, those vacation to kind of look up and be like, oh, look at what we've built and
Yeah.
the people that we've helped. But
I you do quite you work like Monica from Friends. You're very like on, and organized, and you're just so busy. And you, like you say, you don't realize until you do step away and think, okay. Or when someone like myself maybe tells you you're doing an
Yeah.
awesome job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I take a vacation every 2 months. I take a 1 week off every 2 months to do a digital detox. I don't have to touch screens or
Yeah.
computers or phones, but also
I
to just be like, this is where we're at. This is the cool impact that we've had, and actually like be present to it.
and I think that's really healthy. I think a lot of people should do that. With it, when I come back from my work, like for the first few days, I can't be on a screen. So I think it's really healthy that you do that because, especially in your job, you need to be, mentally clear, and it can be a bit overwhelming when you're constantly on a screen and you're on many screens. So I think that's really wise words as well. So it's good that you do that for your own
Yeah.
mental health.
Lesson learned from the past year. This year I was like, I need to do it. So this is the first year that I do it every 2 months, and it's been great. Honestly,
Keep
by the time this episode comes out, I'll probably have done my last digital detox of the year. So I'm excited for it because it's next week I'm working, but the following week I'm off and I'm in Canada and I haven't seen my family in 2 years. So I'll be able to spend quality time with them and just connect, So I'm looking forward to
embrace
that.
everything with them when you're there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Well,
what I.
James, man, if ever you're in LA, let me know. We can get a workout in, get some good food in.
You might regret.
Um,
No, I'm joking,
sorry.
but I would. I'd love to.
And hey, if they don't let me back into Canada, I'm gonna come to Europe. I'm gonna come and see you. We can get out.
Okay,
We'll jump on one of your boats.
do it. Let me know. I'll get you on the ship.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, James, man, again, massive thank you for jumping on the show. Everyone that's listening, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope it resonated with you. There's a lot of nuggets of wisdom in here. And if you enjoyed the episode and you're on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you get notified when more videos come out. If you're listening on audio, just subscribe so that you get notified when a new podcast comes out. And thank you very much for everyone for listening. Bye, everyone.